This is the Overdue Homework Podcast.
Welcome to the show. That's Trav. I'm Drew.
And I'm Trav.
This is the Overdue Homework Podcast. As always, we are here to talk about 80s and 90s media. I'm going to plug the email immediately.
Do it.
Overdue Homework Podcast at gmail.com.
There it is.
How you doing, Trav?
Pretty good, Drew. Pretty good. I am definitely enjoying a day off, as I assume you are enjoying a week off.
Yeah, a week off from work is always a good week off. I'm not doing a whole heck of a lot, but that's okay.
That's okay. It's definitely needed with weather right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I shoveled the deck today.
Nice.
That was exhausting.
That's exhausting.
Come on, deck.
I gotta go clear off the sidewalk again, because every time the plow comes, it just undoes everything.
I suppose. And then you're on that corner, too, so it's kind of like the convergence of all snow from all areas. Snow
pretty infuriating.
Did you get that snowblower running yet?
Yes.
All right.
Three times
that's
already.
Awesome, snowblower. Got it. At least you're not shoveling it.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad.
You know what? We talked about this, and we're going to just get right on into that homework review.
Right on into it.
You can always check out episode 11, which was the original Edd and Eddy episode that we did, and it covers episodes 1 through 6. There's a ton more information on there about Danny Antonucci, his origins, and just the series in general. So go check that episode out. If you haven't listened to that one and you're listening to this one, stop listening to this one, go back and listen to that one, and then listen to this one.
As cool as it is that you're listening to this one. Go back.
Yeah. Go back and do it. Go back and do it. So that homework review today is for Edd and Eddy, Season 1, Episodes 7 through 10. Season 1 ran from January 4th, 1999 to June 11th, 1999, had 13 episodes. So that means there's one more episode of this season coming yet.
Oh, yeah.
Created by Danny Antonucci for Cartoon Network, produced by Canada-based AKA Cartoons, and the voices of the Eds are as follows. Ed was voiced by Matt Hill, Double D by Samuel Vincent, normally called Double D, like I just said, he's also an Ed, and Eddie by Tony Sampson. Go check out, like I said, go check out that first episode, episode 11, covered episodes 1 through 6. All right, so episode 7, 7A, Look Into My Eds, was directed by Danny Antonucci, written by Jono Howard and Danny Antonucci, and is a play on Look Into My Eyes. This segment opens up with the bus grift. So they've made a bus out of cardboard, and they're gonna
in a wagon,
and they're gonna ferry the kids around the neighborhood. Isn't it fun riding a bus plank? Gotta love that plank's right in there immediately. Obviously. The bus ends up out of control because what else would happen?
What else would happen?
We need some comedy. That's what this show's here for.
Yeah.
We got our comedy immediately. Women and children first. And then with the boys out of the bus that is now crashing, we get Double D saying, I believe this constitutes a refund, Eddie. Refund, not a refund, because I bet you that wouldn't be any more fun the second time around.
No.
Double D's new psychological manual arrives, though, and he's testing the Eds on Rorschach paintings.
Yeah.
Eddie only sees cash.
Money.
Exactly. And Ed sees
buttered toast.
Buttered toast.
Oh, Ed and the buttered toast. He had to think about it for a while.
He did, but he came to buttered toast.
Yes, he came to buttered toast.
Eddie does shake loose the hypnotizing wheel, and that's going to be the whole crux of the rest of the episode. So it's a very integral part of the episode, and we've just discovered it.
Yes.
Allow me to demonstrate. Ed, you will become what you've always wanted to dream, what you've always dreamed of. It's a dancer.
A dancer, obviously.
I like that Ed's secret passion is dancing.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense, so it makes it more funny.
I also love when he gets snapped out of his hypnotic state. He just says, ow, my calves hurt. Of course, this gives Eddie an idea. Hypnotize the kids in the cul-de-sac. right? So, I mean,
obviously.
And then he asks Double D, have I ever steered you wrong?
Yes. Yes, you have.
They come across their first pigeon very quickly, Kevin. And Eddie turns Kevin into an ape.
Yeah, I like how it works. He hypnotizes him and says, "You will become what I've always wanted you to be." As if Kevin would know that's an ape.
That's an ape.
Okay.
And he tells Kevin to go find the peanut, which happens to be Ed's scalp. So,
Yeah.
which is a great bit, very funny. Ed being attacked, and the physical comedy that he brings to the episode is always welcome.
Obviously.
They move on to Jimmy and Sarah very quickly. Sarah turns into a frog, and she's eating bugs,
Yep.
which Ed's not a big fan of.
No.
He's going to get in trouble if his mom finds out that Sarah's eating bugs. Jimmy becomes a big muscle man. Give me something to bend.
That was a good Jimmy.
Thank you. I practiced it a little bit, not going to lie. Not in front of a mirror, but I did practice it. Eddie snaps Kevin, Jimmy, and Sarah back to normal. And see ya, folks. I got bigger fish to fry.
Bigger fish to fry.
I do love how it is so easy for him to hypnotize everybody just instantly.
No problem.
No problem. I love that a lot. Jimmy, Sarah, and Kevin all look very confused when they're brought back to reality because they have no memory of being hypnotized.
Yep.
On to Johnny and Plank. Hello, Johnny. He says, hello, Eddie. Enough small talk. It's hypnotizing time. He spins the wheel in his hat, and Johnny doesn't get it.
Yeah, but it works on Plank.
It does work on Plank. What have you done? Plank is a mindless zombie. That's a great line. I have a real big affinity for Johnny. Like I didn't in the first 6, but these new episodes, I'm like, man, Johnny is pretty genius.
He is pretty genius.
Johnny's pretty genius.
He's such a good character.
He really is. I enjoy Johnny quite a bit. Next, we find Rolf, this time with Ed in control of the wheel. Hiya, Rolf. Hello, fellas. Can I scrub you? It was almost impossible for me not to just like directly transcribe every one of Rolf's lines. Like I didn't do them all, but I had to the Rolf lines are they're so great.
They're so good.
They're so
Any
great.
episode that has him in it is just that much better.
And these episodes were pretty heavy on the Rolf for the most part. Do you like what you see? What? Looking at the crazy circle thing. Are you crazy? It's not working. Spin it, bean dip. Oh, thanks, Eddie. Boy, it's just I just enjoy Ed and Rolf's interaction in this one. It's like a meeting of the minds almost. There's such a obviously Rolf I think is a smarter kid in the neighborhood, but
for sure
they're on their level of weirdness. They're like right there together.
Oh yeah,
seeing eye to eye on their
two
weirdness.
peas in a pod.
Yep. When I snap my fingers, you will become a giant man-eating noodle.
I love that one. I love when Rolf is the noodle.
He instantly becomes the noodle, and he changes him into a giant hairy bat, and then he turns him into a zombie. And, of course, this whole time, Rolf is only attacking Eddie.
Obviously.
Because he deserves it.
Right. He did make Kevin chew on Ed. So.
He did make Kevin chew on Ed. And he just makes it stop. And, okay, back to Rolf. In the cul-de-sac now, we get to greet the great Eddie Dini.
Eddie D.
So swindle via mind manipulation is his goal here, I'm assuming, which kind of works out with Monkey Kevin a little bit, collecting the money from the other kids, even forcing Double D to donate the money, which I thought was pretty darn funny. And Double D's like, okay, I guess I'll put in my quarter also. But enter the cankers to basically mess up all the plans because that's what they're best at.
That's what they do.
It's almost like when they're writing this one, they're like, okay, we have to get the Eds their comeuppance, but how do we do it? Cankers. Just get the cankers in there. They're not really, they're this episode and the next episode, the next segment, and then
they're not as heavily as involved as the first episode.
No, they're definitely
the first
not.
episode of ours.
They're definitely not, which is fine. I didn't miss them at all.
No.
I actually kind of enjoyed just watching the dynamic of the kids in the cul-de-sac instead of entering the cankers all
Less
the time.
cankers is fine with me.
Yeah, that was fine. Be prepared to be mesmerated. No way I'll be mesmerated. I eat my roughage.
Okay.
That's a great line. And then the mesmerization doesn't really work, basically because of Lee's hair in her way, which in the way of her eyes, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
They do end up stealing the wheel and hypnotizing the Eds and making them their dogs.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, next segment.
Yeah, they're obsessed with them. You'd think they'd just like love potion type thing on them, but nope.
Nope, dogs in the front yard.
Okay.
Throws the shoe at them. Overall, kind of a weaker first segment of any of these episodes, if you ask me, but it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
Our next segment, 7B, Tag Your Ed, opens up with Chunky Puffs.
Chunky Puffs. Chunky Puffs are great.
I love Chunky Puffs, but I hate Chunky Milk.
Yes, I do hate Chunky Milk, and anytime I think of Chunky Milk, I think of this episode.
I will now forever, that's for sure. That's going to be one of the first things that I ever think of. Ed says, I know where we can get some new milk. At Rolf's.
At Rolf's. It's easy. I've seen him do it.
Yeah. Are you sure about this, Ed? Oh, yeah, I've seen Rolf do it before. It's easy. Double D saying, I'm not sure if this is legal. And then Eddie saying, sure. Cows are public property, like trees.
Like trees. You didn't know that? I learned something new watching this episode.
Yeah, don't take that as a real law, kiddos.
Yeah.
Cows are not public property. They should be, though.
They should be. They should be.
So how does this work? Eddie asks. Rolf did some stuff and the milk came out.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's easy. To extract milk from a cow, you must use its udder.
I ain't touching that.
I don't think I would either. I've never milked a cow. Have you milked a cow, Craig?
I have never milked a cow.
No, me neither. I don't think I'd ever want to milk a cow. That doesn't sound like necessarily a whole heck of a lot of fun. Maybe I would do it and I'd be like, wow. Where has this been my whole life?
Yeah.
I should have been milking cows for years, I guess. But I
know,
doubt that's going to happen.
Odds are not in favor of that happening.
So I guess with the trio now defeated with no milk, they run across Kevin and Rolf playing football. Double D just reinforces the fact that he has no athletic proclivity whatsoever. He cannot throw that football back to Rolf and Kevin.
Yeah.
Double D fails miserably. You throw like a 2-year-old. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, a 2-year-old. You're not even good at stuffing sausages.
And he gives, isn't this the episode where he gives one of the best lines ever? Your garden is overgrown and your cucumbers are soft.
Yes, he does. That's a great one. Eddie tells Double D that he does not have to stand for that because he doesn't have to stand for it.
No.
You need to get your confidence back, Double D. So it's time for a little training. Training is painful, according to Double D.
Yeah, one punch on the punching bag.
Yeah, he can't punch. He can't jump rope. He can't lift weights. So I guess by this time, because the neighborhood's watching him now do his training, he's just been thoroughly embarrassed in front of the rest of the kids.
Right.
So what's left to do but to hold a wrestling match to prove that Double D is tough?
Yes. Yes. There's no better way to prove that you're not a wimp.
A public wrestling match. I do like that he's the masked mumbler. That's a pretty fitting name for Double D, if
with
you
a
ask me.
plunger on his head instead of the stocking cap.
The plunger on the head is like a common theme in these episodes. It comes back a couple of times, which is just interesting. Plunger on the head, sure. Took the time to cut the eyes out of it.
Yep.
Plunger on the head.
Definitely.
Eddie wants them to find a challenging opponent, so obviously it's Plank. Who else would you choose besides Plank?
Obviously.
I really like the old switcheroo that the boys do with Plank and the stump.
Yeah.
Oh, Plank, you have really let yourself go. No more sweets for you. Plank. It's so, like, I love everybody acts as if he's a real person.
Yeah.
I just really love that about Plank.
I do too.
There's no questioning it. They never talk about it. It's just assumed that Plank is another person in the neighborhood.
It's never even said that Johnny's weird.
Nope.
Because of the Plank. It's just Johnny and Plank.
Nope. I absolutely love that. But now it's wrestling time with Plank. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on.
Of course, Double D is afraid of Plank.
Obviously. Why wouldn't you eat that stare he gives?
Yeah, Eddie reassures him. Plank's just playing mind games. But, watch out for the sharp corners. Just watch out for those sharp corners. Double D does win, but there's nobody there to see it. So, I mean, what was the point of any? It wasn't the warm up. There was nobody there to see it. And I love how they all look at the bench where the kid should be sitting, and there's nobody there.
No
it's
one
just
there.
crickets.
Yeah.
Johnny does come back to get Plank, and he calls them a bunch of phonies. And Plank lost fair and square, right? Get it?
Get it? Because of Plank.
But now it's canker time. The cankers
Canker
are there. You Eds are so cute when you do stupid stuff. I say we wrestle you. I love how these shows, they just get to the point. They got 12 minutes. Just get to the point.
Yeah, just get to the point.
No wasted lines for the most part. May and Marie give great purple nurples. What was your definition as a purple nurple when you were in school? What was your definition?
My definition?
Like, was that even a thing when you were in school?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Purple nurples?
Oh, purple nipples for sure.
So-
Just twisting the crap out of your nipples.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I was wondering if there might be regionally or from school district to school district.
no.
It's tea twisters for sure.
Tea twisters for sure. Yeah.
Ed does ask what a purple nurple is, like I just asked you, Trev. And Double D says, I think it has something to do with a strudel filling.
Yeah, and is he trying to sugarcoat it to not worry him, or there's no way Ed, the smart one, actually thinks that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe he just doesn't know what a purple nurple is, but you'd think
I
that he
guess.
would know.
You would think.
He would think that he would know. That's interesting. Probably just to sugarcoat it for Ed so
Yeah,
he doesn't freak
probably.
out. That's probably all it is. Everyone from the cul-de-sac is now at the wrestling ring. Please pass down this milk. My cow is quite gorged. And that is a great line from Raw.
That is a great line.
The kids look disgusted.
Yes, as they should.
But it's time for the cul-de-sac wrestling championship. It's the erupting Eds versus the calcified cankers.
Calcified.
That's a great name for them, the calcified cankers. It's
Yeah.
a great name for them. The rest of the neighborhoods cheer for the cankers, not the Eds, which says a whole lot about the Eds, I guess.
I guess.
But, the Eds lose the wrestling match.
Obviously.
I mean,
No one expected anything different.
No. They lose. Basically, if you see the cankers on screen, the Eds are going to lose in some way, form, or fashion.
For sure.
And that's just the way it is. I don't know if they ever won up the cankers.
Nope.
I'm not as much of somebody that's watched the show as much as you, but I cannot think of a single time where they give it back to the
I
cankers.
can't think of a single time either, unless it's in the series finale, and I don't remember it. But.
In that wrestling match, though, there was some really classic Looney Tunes stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like the accordion stuff with
Yeah.
Eddie, Double D getting rolled up into that ball, and then Eddie becoming a flapjack at one point.
Yep.
That's just straight out of 1960s Looney Tune cartoons. Which
Yeah, a
I
lot of the
love.
music in the background sounds similar, too.
Yes, I love that a lot. The Ed sure showed us. Maybe we should take up basket weaving. Thanks, Rolf.
Thank you, Rolf.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
What did you think of episode 7?
That one's a better episode. Well, the second half
Yes.
of that, I think, is better than the first. But
Agreed.
overall, if that's the worst dose of the kinkers we get, we're in for a good episode here, 4 episodes in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, that first segment was probably the weaker of the two, and I think it's more. It's after watching these ones, it seems like it's almost stylized that way. That the first segment's a little bit lighter, a little bit
Yeah.
easier, a little less serious, and then the second segment's a lot more wacky,
Yeah.
which is fine. I liked it. Definitely a good episode. Liked it a lot. Liked it a lot enough to watch it a whole bunch of times. So it's not like I was like, I can't do this. I
Oh,
can't
not
do
at
this.
all.
Not one.
Yeah,
bit.
our version of not like is still
it's still pretty much like
pretty
it.
high up
Still
there.
pretty high up there.
Yeah, I have zero problem with just binging the crap out of this show over and over again. Just
Me neither.
definitely puts me in like a comfort zone, comfort show type thing I forgot existed in my life.
No, for sure. That is awesome because that's like the object of this, right?
Yeah.
This whole thing is to get us back to that feeling you had when you were a kid watching TV that was just there was no care in the world.
Right.
It's a pure escapism.
10 years old, 1999.
There you go, right? That's great. So now we get to move on to episode 8, and 8A is called Fool on the Ed, and that one was written by Jono Howard and Danny Antonucci, and it's a play on Fool on the Hill. This episode opens up with the boys pranking each other as they meet up for the day, which is pretty funny. I enjoy the slapstick humor right out of the block.
Oh, yeah.
The engine to the head that Eddie fails Ed's prank that fails on Eddie, and he turns it around and does it on Ed,
Yep.
which is pretty good funny. Pretty good funny. I don't even know what that means. That's pretty good funny.
Well, that'll be pretty good funny.
So the glue prank right after that was just like pure happenstance, right? Eddie didn't have the time to set that up.
No.
But it's still funny. The table ends up being stuck to the back of Ed. The phone ringing at Double D's. What was going to happen if Eddie did pick up the phone? I don't understand what the prank, like maybe a prank call?
That's all I could get out of it.
That's all I could get out of it,
Yeah.
too. But Eddie switches it around onto Double D and tells him that it's a girl on the line for him. And Double D gets glue dumped all over him, goes flying down the hall in some roller skates, and ends up flying out the window. So I think there was some escalation there.
A little bit.
And then outside you get the whoopee cushion also that Ed sits on as after he flies out the window, and then the joy buzzer used on Double D. Apparently, though, Double D and Ed are just too easy because Eddie says you can prank the whole neighborhood before sundown. Deal. I want to see it.
Yeah, let's see it.
There's your premise.
There's your premise. There you go.
Rolf is first. It seems like that's kind of a pattern almost. It's almost like they always start out with Rolf.
Start off with Rolf.
I'm good with that. They must live right next to Rolf or something. They just go down the cul-de-sac. That's one thing that I've never really thought about. Like, how are their houses set up in the cul-de-sac? Who's neighbors with who?
Yeah, I don't know who's next to either of them. And Rolf is definitely not in the cul-de-sac. Well, because there's not enough houses in the cul-de-sac, so he's got to be like the furthest house, which is probably just down the street or something.
Must be.
Yeah, and I swear there's only like 6 houses, so if each of the Eds is one of those 3, or 3 of those 6, then you've got, Kevin, Naz, and Jimmy? And then Johnny.
Well, Sarah lives with Ed. But then there's Johnny also. So I guess if you count like maybe because you're right, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses like that.
Yeah,
are
like
within
they don't
the
show
cul-de-sac.
enough houses to cover all the children.
No, they don't. So it must be kids that are close. They do go through that alleyway, so maybe like they do live like a block
That's true.
down or something.
They
or
always
like
show that alleyway.
behind the cul-de-sac. That's how they get through. I mean, that's kind of a pivotal point in one of these episodes.
Plus the Cankers are in like a trailer park.
Yeah.
Close.
Fairly close, at least if it's bike riding distance.
Yeah.
I guess. So I've never really thought about whose house is who's actually within the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
I mean, that's purposely ambiguous, I'm sure. We talked about that too, we talked about that in episode 11 about how it's purposely flat and stuff because what do you remember as a kid from your neighborhood? You just remember the basics.
Right.
So. Moving on.
Rolf is first.
But no, someone beats them to it. It's the prank master. And Eddie is none too happy about it. He's the king of pranks.
He's the king of pranks.
He's the king of pranks. He makes sure to let you know multiple times that he's the king of pranks. Then the prank master gets Johnny and Plank. That's pretty funny with the diaper stuff with Johnny. Got a good laugh out of that. At this point now, the boys are worried about getting pranked themselves because obviously who else would be next on their list besides the prank or the prank king of pranks. There it is. Besides the king of pranks. Now, the prank master also gets Sarah and Jimmy and Kevin. So they're next, obviously.
Obviously.
Right? The boys are on the defensive. They got their backs to each other. They're wearing the kitchen implements, which is a very 80s movie thing to have the colander on your head and trying to defend yourself wearing oven mitts and a wooden spoon. So that makes sense. Keep your eyes peeled. They spot the jawbreaker on the sidewalk, though. But they're very cautious of it.
Way too cautious.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
But no, it isn't because Jimmy just slurps that thing right up, which is that scene. I was like, that's a very weird way for you to do that, but that's okay. We'll just go with it.
We'll go with it.
The Eds give each other atomic wedgies because they're arguing about whose fault it was that they actually didn't get the jawbreaker, which is funny. Got a good kick out of that. Turns out, though, there wasn't a prank master at all. It was the rest of the kids in the cul-de-sac. What a twist.
What a twist. So I guess he's not the king.
He does say, though, you're messing with the king here.
Right.
Which, nope, you're not the king.
You're not the king.
It's time. But now it's time for the El Mongo Stink Bomb. Gotta like that, the El Mongo Stink Bomb. Did you ever have any stink bombs when you were a kid? Did you ever get your hands on that stuff?
No. I mean, I smelled a few at county fairs.
Oh, for sure.
But
a friend of mine, Eric, in grade school, we were on the bus, and he's like, look what I have. And he had this little red box that had 2 of these glass vials with stink bomb stuff in it. And then, everybody ran away from him on the bus because we're just, kids. We're 6, 7, 8 years old, whatever it was. And he's like, I'm going to break one on the bus. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And we're like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. He did it.
He did it.
Thankfully, it was his stop, and then it was my stop. So he did it like as he was getting off the bus, right in the back, because we were all in the back. And I was like, oh, and we all ran up to the front. It just smelled like sulfur, just like really bad rotten eggs. But that was kind of funny. I thought that made me think of that time. And that was pretty good.
Oh, man. But this stink bomb is next level.
It is definitely next level. The final touch is Ed's smelly sock, so you know it is next
and it
level.
Disintegrates in there.
Obviously, it backfires.
Obviously. I mean, it kind of serves its purpose still. It still gets to everybody else.
It does still end up making the whole neighborhood vacate. So,
but they definitely pay the price.
They they got doused with that first wave of stinkiness for sure. Ed likes it because why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he?
Next segment. So episode 8B, A Boy and His Ed, which is a play on A Boy and His Dog and was written by Jono Howard and Danny Antonucci. This segment opens up with the Eds building a moat and a drawbridge. Everyone will have to pay to cross our toll moat. That's a pretty straightforward scam that Eddie wants to do.
Yep.
It's funny that they stole the water from Jimmy and Sarah's pool. Which okay, great,
yeah, sure.
sure.
Right.
Ed's the crocodile, which makes sense and is very funny.
It is very funny.
Kevin gets to be their first victim this time. It's not Rolf, unfortunately. I think a confrontation with Rolf, maybe fording the moat with some pigs or with his goat. What's his goat's name? Gunther? No, his goat's name is.
Can't think of it now.
Oh, that's right. But just, charging over it would have been funny. But
yeah.
No, that's not what takes place. Eddie tells him for a small toll, you can cross the moat. Yeah, right. I'm just here to, and then Kevin gets interrupted. Only 50 cents, Eddie says. I was going to give you guys something. Hit the road. I've heard that one before, says Eddie. So that just sets up the whole thing for the whole rest of the episode.
The whole rest of the episode.
And then Kevin gets them back with his patented line. You've probably heard this one before, too. Dork.
Dork.
That's Kevin's favorite. Dork.
Dork.
And then Double D says, I really think Kevin was going to give us something. Yeah, lip. That's
lip.
What Eddie said. Which is pretty funny. And then here's Johnny with a jawbreaker he got from Kevin for free. Uh-oh. Quick, we got to find Kevin.
I still find it weird that Kevin was going to be nice to them in general.
Yeah.
Even though he had an abundance.
An abundance of them. I thought that too, and I almost missed the fact that he was going to give them a jawbreaker at that time. Because you don't see him in the box. I mean, that would ruin the bit for the rest of the episode, but you're right. Why is Kevin doing this at all?
And this box he's carrying can maybe fit 4 of those giant jawbreakers, and he's got like a dozen in there that he's handing out.
Maybe his dad said, you have to give one to everybody.
True.
Even the Eds.
Even the Eds,
like,
probably.
I could see that happening.
Oh, definitely.
That's something a parent would say. Jimmy tells the Eds that he's got a whole box and he's giving them away, and Eds quickly find Rolf after that. One of my more favorite lines from Rolf in all of the episodes. And
For sure.
I'm going to read it verbatim here. Our modern postal system will ensure my relatives have fresh fish for dinner.
Licks a stamp and slaps it on the head of the fish and puts it in the blue box.
That is just the best. It's such a weird non sequitur thing. Like, who even thinks of something like that? Who writes that? That seems.
Seriously.
I guess I could see Danny Antonucci writing something like that, considering he thought of that stuff for the Brothers Grunt, which was just very out there.
True.
Very, very out there.
That's true.
The Eds do find out from Rolf that Kevin's dad got a new job at the Jawbreaker factory, and his garage is full of jawbreakers. Kevin's giving them out for free. So now we know for sure that that's what's happening, even though we should have surmised that.
Yeah.
The Eds do find Kevin, but it's too late. They're all gone. All
gone.
Those jawbreakers are all gone. So naturally, it's time to become Kevin's friend to get jawbreakers from Kevin, because that's what a real friend does, right? Try to manipulate them and get stuff.
Obviously, definitely, like copy their clothes. Yeah. That's what people like, right?
Yep. I do like the line, "Become Kevin's friend. Ed would have a better chance of growing a chin." That was a good.
That is a good one.
Line. Did you like the sequence in the classroom? I mean, it was pretty when Double D is teaching them how to be friends with Kevin.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty funny sequence, and it really shows Double D like in his element, doing what he likes to do and what he's the best at. So,
Yeah. And that the other two are literally worthless.
literally worthless.
I love that Eddie crashes up the paper, tosses at him, and then Ed takes the whole notebook and crumples it up and whips it at Eddie.
I like the spitballs too. When doesn't he eat? Ed ends up like putting a whole notebook in his mouth, and then when he tries to force it through the straw, he thinks he spit out his brain.
Yeah,
that's very good. I like that a lot too.
Oh, my brain came out.
Oh, my brain came out. This is a waste of time, according to Eddie, though. So why don't we just go to the garage and take them from Kevin? Stealing has dire consequences, Eddie.
Dire consequences.
So at least they didn't resort to crime immediately.
Yes.
Like you said, Double D says that they need to dress like Kevin because clothes are a social uniform, showing Kevin we're team players.
Yeah, not creepy or weird or anything.
Nope. The Eds do find Kevin all dressed as Kevin.
As Kevin.
Kevin doesn't care and ditches the Eds. I did like the tongue gag there with basically becoming a tow rope and whipping everybody around. I got a good kick out of that. We get the cheerleader Eds. They misspell Kevin. Kevin has his own sign, dorks.
Dorks.
And then the cleaning of the chimney. The Eds offer to help Kevin because that's what friends are for. And Kevin, yeah, friends.
Yeah, sure.
He definitely sees through their ruse. The Eds do end up helping, but it results in the back of Kevin's house falling off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
It's didn't go as planned.
No, Kevin obviously chases them away.
Obviously.
But finally, the Eds resort to crime. Like,
finally,
we're done with it. Crime time. It's crime time.
crime time.
They try to dig into Kevin's garage, but they end up in Kevin's bathroom, in his bathtub.
Yep,
Kevin's got a pretty fancy garage.
he does.
And I do like the line from Eddie. So I guess jawbreakers are out of the question? Definitely, Eddie.
Yes.
Definitely. Kevin pulls the plug and some classic cartoon action. The three of them go down the drain.
Yep.
Gotta love that. Roll credits.
Dig a hole, dig a hole.
What did you think of episode 8?
That one was good.
It was really good. Definitely
Yeah.
stronger than 7.
Oh, yeah,
That one was
definitely.
really good. I like that one a lot.
I just like the karma of them. They finally were going to get jawbreakers. They could have just played it cool. Didn't even need to dig them out. And then they still dug them out. And he was still going to give them jawbreakers.
Still gonna do it.
Oh, Eddie.
Oh, Eddie.
Eds.
All right, episode 9, 9A. It's Way Ed. Jono Howard and Danny Antonucci wrote this one again, and it's a play on It's Way Cool.
It's way cool.
It's way cool. So at the start of this one, Eddie's alarm is going off at noon. I miss sleeping till noon sometimes. I really, seeing that, I'm like, oh man, I used to sleep till like noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, man, I do miss that. Staying up way too late
Way
playing
too late.
games. but-
Way too late. Way too late.
Way
That's
too
for,
late.
That's for sure. The other two Eds are there to get Eddie out of bed. It's Tuesday, so according to the Who to Scam and When book, it's Johnny's day to be scammed.
I love that book.
The best. If it seems like if Eddie put half the work into scamming, half the work into doing normal stuff with his life that he does into scamming people,
Yeah.
he'd be a great student.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
He'd be a great kid, probably.
You hear him mumble like Rolf Saturday, Sarah Sunday, and
Yeah.
going through.
Eddie says, Johnny 2x4.
Johnny 2x4.
He gets paid his allowance on Tuesday, so that's why he's the mark. So that makes sense, right? Well, it's time to pay Johnny a visit. Double D says, I don't see him, Eddie. Start searching, Eddie says. They do find Johnny, and he's on stilts with Sarah and Jimmy. Stilts are the latest fad. Did you ever have a pair of stilts like that?
I did not.
So, like, my dad had some when he was a kid, like, and we would play with them at my grandma's house in Fargo when we would go there. They were just like long 2x4s with a couple
Yeah.
other little pieces of 2x4s stuck on them. That's all they were.
Definitely not safe.
No, definitely not safe. The ones that I would go on weren't that tall. It was probably only 2 or 3 feet off the ground. It
Sure.
wasn't very tall, but I remember them being really difficult to use and having
Oh,
a
yeah.
hard time figuring it out. So
For sure.
whenever we'd be there in the summer, I'd get them out and like play with them for 5 minutes and be like, it's enough of that.
Did your dad ever come out and like, Damon Drew, let me show you how it's done?
I
Yeah.
believe so. I believe when they got dug out of the attic, like in the garage the first time, like my Uncle Tony was there and so was my dad, and they were walking around on them like it
no
was,
problem.
Like it was no problem. He's like, we used to have chicken wars on these and stuff. And it's like, all right.
Okay. Running the 100-meter dash.
No, that's funny. I haven't really thought about that a lot until right this moment. The stuff that comes back. It's unbelievable. Eddie does say, though, we know we just left our stilts at home, just completely lying to everybody because they want to be part of the fad. Off the Eds go to build their stilts. Ed asks, what's a fad? And Double D says, when something insignificant becomes popular. And then Eddie, to really put the punctuation mark on it, right. And we know the Eds are way insignificant. Eddie's self-awareness, his ability to be self-aware, is seriously lacking sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously lacking. Their stilts suck.
Yep, they do.
And Double D is really bad at using them.
Yes, he is.
They get to the other kids, and the stilt fad is dead. What are you guys doing? What does it look like? We're whiz-wazzing.
We're whiz-wazzing.
Whiz-wazz, whiz-wazz, whiz-wazz.
Stilts are so out.
We knew that. Off the Eds go to join the new fad. The homemade whiz-wazz gear is less than great.
Less than great.
Does not work out very well.
No, it does not.
So they decide to make their own fad because they want to get 2 fads ahead.
Yes.
That's the only way you're going to get ahead of the game. Otherwise, they're always going to be playing catch-up. So they come up with a few things like a mouth TV.
Mouth TV.
Sure. Choo-choo mania. Great.
All right.
Mailbox head. Why not?
Why not?
Sprinkler head.
There you go.
Sure. That one seems a little like maybe that could be a possible real fad. Sprinkler head man or whatever.
Right.
The fan flying. I mean, cool. I mean,
sure.
Dice teeth. Why not?
Why not?
Luckily, though, Ed puts them all together to make one ultimate fad.
And Double T loves it.
It was a complete accident, though, so I mean that makes sense that it would be a complete accident from Ed because he always has that kind of luck.
Right.
He always has that kind of luck to advance the story. So they make it to the other kids, and they ain't buying it.
No.
Nope.
They just ignore him.
Yeah, basically. And Double D and Ed have some serious issues with their equipment. It just basically comes apart, shooting them across the neighborhood all over the place and in hilarious fashion. So I enjoyed that a lot. But here comes Naz. And hey, guys, a new fad. Winged cat eye glasses.
Yeah, this one makes me laugh the most because they just all whip on their glasses, boink, and then silence.
And then silence.
Oh.
And then they're out.
Yeah, all right.
It doesn't matter what it is. All the kids love it.
If Naz is doing it, we're all doing it.
They're all doing it. To the Ed's credit, though, they keep with it. They're refusing to give up on the fad that they want to create.
Oh, yeah.
They keep with it. So now it's pixie wings and balloon fads for the other kids.
Yeah.
And then the Eds are exhausted from wearing all that clothes in the hot sun, and they want to take a break. So, of course, when they take a break and come back, their fad is now popular.
Of course.
I mean,
after he uses a can opener to pry his head out of the mailbox.
Right. I literally should have seen that coming.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I didn't. And when they came around the corner, I was like, ugh, come on.
Of
dude.
course.
Of course. It's a classic gag. It's a classic gag. And then by the time the trio gets back with their gear, the fad has already moved on.
Yep.
And that's it. And these first segments have a pattern of basically having no resolution.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Definitely.
No resolution whatsoever.
No.
It's more of like a comment on like the way kids are as opposed to a true storyline. Because that fad thing speaks to any kid ever.
Obviously.
Ever.
What's a fad you think
I
of?
mean, Pogs is one of the big fads that I think of when I was a kid. Skip-Its. Do you remember Skip-Its?
Oh,
Those were a huge
obviously.
fad. Huge
Yo-yo.
fad. Yo-yo. Oh, my
in
gosh.
In general.
Yo-yo was the fad that wouldn't die.
Oh, definitely.
Wouldn't die.
I remember being so stoked when I got my black
yeah.
tornado yo-yo. And then I swear it was like Fireball or something.
I had a
after
clear
that.
Fireball.
Yeah, clear, and mine was the red on one side and blue on the other side.
Ooh, nice, nice.
Oh, man.
That yo-yo fad was real.
It was real.
that was probably, besides Pogs, I bet that was probably the biggest fad of my childhood was the yo-yos. And that was circa like 97, 98.
Yeah. That's like the biggest one I can think of that didn't continue into something awesome. I would have said Pokemon, but now Pokemon's still huge at this point.
Pokemon
is
more
like
than
it was
a
fad at the time.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely I think of Pogs and yo-yo.
Trying to think of any of the other fads. I know there was a million of them. I mean, even if you just go clothing fads, were you old enough for the backwards jeans?
No.
Oh my! With crisscross, they wore their clothes backwards, and backwards jeans at Kennedy Elementary were the coolest. Like, it was this whole thing where like people. I remember kids being like, "My mom won't let me wear my pants backwards," so they would go into the bathroom at school and change their pants backwards when they got to school.
Oh my!
I never did. I was not very comfortable, so I never really did it. And I didn't really listen to that type of music as a kid, so I didn't really get the fad at all. But I remember that being like a really big deal. People doing it in the bathroom, changing their clothes.
Yeah.
That was one that I remember for clothing for sure. The fads though, like it really, the fads.
The fads.
The fads.
That is the best part of this episode, though. It invokes you thinking of all those fads.
Yes, it does. So now we can move on to 9B, and that's Laugh, Ed, Laugh, which is a play on Laugh, Clown, Laugh. This segment opens up with a fake ice cream scam. Sure. Fake ice cream scam.
It's foolproof, is what he says, but it's definitely not foolproof.
If you're going to make ice cream cones out of paper, baseballs, and glue, I don't think it's going to last very long.
And then what, like pink paint or something?
Yeah, pink paint. Yeah.
I mean, it works on Ed.
Ed likes it.
Ed loves it.
Ed loves it.
Get your own, he says.
Thankfully, though, there aren't any other kids around.
No.
So where are they? It's simple, Eddie. The kids entered a wormhole, and they're spewed into an alternate universe. Simple. You're simple.
You're simple.
Let's check the houses. Let's do it. Turns out the neighborhood has chicken pox. You had chicken pox, correct?
Yes.
All right. So did I. Now you get vaccinated for it. So no more chicken pox for kids.
No more chicken pox.
It's unfortunate. That's like a rite of passage almost, right?
Yeah.
I guess you eliminate the ability to get shingles later on in life, which I've never had shingles. I don't know. Have you? No,
I've never had shingles.
Apparently it hurts, so I've never had it. Thank
Ouch.
goodness. Yep. Thank goodness. Only the Eds aren't sick, so they say, let's do something. Eddie kind of thinks that there isn't anything for them to do.
Yeah, what can they do? There's no one to scam.
Yeah, they kick the can. Eddie smashes the can.
Yeah, that didn't take long.
No. They do some cat's cradle. Obviously, Ed gets tangled up in the string.
Obviously.
This happens to be the last straw for Eddie, and it's revealed that he is angry and grumpy because there are no kids to scam.
Yeah.
With Double D and Ed leaving Eddie behind because he's too desperate for attention, they're like, we're going to go replace a light bulb. At least that's something to do. You're being crazy. So you can come with us if you want. You don't have to come with.
Right.
But we do see that Eddie has gone crazy at this point.
Totally crazy.
Yep. Double D and Ed need to capture Eddie for his own safety. Eddie's gotten so desperate, he's scamming squirrels, which is very funny.
Yeah, it is.
Very funny. I love that Double D has to say, hey, drop those nuts. Double D and Ed have been unsuccessful thus far in their attempts to capture Eddie. It's pretty funny stuff. It's a very interesting angle to have 2-on-1 for the Eds. Because it's usually the three of them together.
Right.
I can't think of any example in these first 8 episodes that we've watched where it's a 2-on-1 like this.
Oh, no.
So it's an interesting angle, and it's kind of cool to see the Eds doing a whole episode on their own for the most part. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Double D and Ed do capture Eddie using a $1 bill as bait. Because, exactly.
I love how easy that is, too.
It's super easy. They trap Eddie in a padded shed, which is funny.
It's
very,
funny.
Very good. Now with the trio trapped in the shed, Double D tells Ed to eat the key. Well, hide it discreetly, which he decides is eating it.
Yeah.
They fake Eddie into saying that there's lots and lots of money. Turns out it's fake because Ed drew it all himself.
Yep.
And that really pisses Eddie off. And that brings him back to normal. So, great.
Great. Perfect.
That worked out well, I guess. But guess what? The kids are back outside and the Eds are trapped inside the shed. So, I mean, obviously.
Obviously.
Results in Eddie using Ed as a shovel to dig their way out. I'm a good shovel, huh, Eddie?
I'm a good shovel. I love that. He's like using his ear as the part to put his foot down on.
Yeah, and we talked about it in the first Edd and Eddy episode, but the sound effects in this, like the realistic sound effects with the objects that they use, absolutely adds to the bit, absolutely adds to the gag. It just makes that scene especially even more funny with the sound of the gravel, dirt, and stuff scraping against what would be Ed's metallic head. Like, I enjoyed that a lot.
Definitely.
Very funny. Very funny.
Dig a hole.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
What'd you think of episode 9?
Definitely another good episode.
Yeah.
That one I kind of, just because of how much it makes you think about being a kid, I like the first part of this episode better than the second part. But.
You know, I would agree with you. I think you could say that the first segment in episode 9 is the stronger of the two segments.
But they're both really good. I do agree with you. I like seeing just those three as the main dynamic of an episode.
Yeah, that's cool to see that instead of having to play off the whole neighborhood. Yeah. That is cool.
So 9, probably the strongest episode so far.
I would agree with you. 8's a pretty close second place, but I think 9 is the strongest of the episodes because it's a unique one for sure. Like you said, it's a unique one.
And we're coming up on my favorite one.
This is your favorite one?
Yep, last one's my favorite.
All right, that's good. So episode 10A, A Glass of Warm Ed. It's the play off of A Glass of Warm Milk. Have you ever done that? A glass of warm milk before bed?
No.
So I had never, ever, ever done it before in my whole life because it always sounded gross.
Yeah, obviously.
Desperate for sleep maybe a few months ago, I'm like, I'm going to try it. I'm out of ideas. And it was as gross as I thought it could be. I don't know, maybe if it would be slightly better if it was like whole milk or something, but like microwaved skim milk, not good.
Not good.
Not good. I don't recommend it.
Trouble you for a warm glass or shut the hell up.
Oh, boy. What episode 10A, well, segment 10A opens up with a possible home invasion at Double D's house in the middle of the night. Not great.
Not great.
Not great. Armed with a cactus, Double D finds a sleepwalking Ed in the crisper drawer.
Yeah.
I love how Ed gets jammed into tiny spaces and comes popping out. I love that about Ed and his character. Ed absconds with most, if not all, of Double D's food at that point. Double D does recruit Eddie to help him wake Ed. And after Ed steals all of Eddie's food, he's on board with waking Ed. Yeah. At first, he was really enjoying the show, basically. But he's like, wait a second, that's my food.
Yeah, what the hell?
Come on, man. Ed is unstoppable, going from house to house, stealing and eating all the food. Eddie loves it, like I said, and he calls it the greatest show on earth. Ed attempts to eat Jimmy, though, at this point, which is hilarious. Hilarious. They don't even try to help Jimmy. No. They just shut the door.
Yeah. Time to get out of here.
That's great. That is absolutely hilarious. Double D and Eddie following the trail of foodstuffs come across a fully eaten box of bran muffins.
Yep.
This could be dangerous,
Eddie. This could be very dangerous.
Because bran muffins might make you poop.
It might. It just might.
Have you ever heard about the whole, like, fallacy of bran? Like, it was a big fad in the late 80s through the 90s, the whole everybody eating bran muffins and all this stuff. But apparently it's, like, just as bad for you as anything else.
Oh, sure.
Might help you, like, poop some more. But you're eating these bran muffins that are loaded with sugar and butter and stuff. So it's not really that good for you.
Definitely not. No, I think I've been watching through Malcolm. So I think of they're trying to get Dewey to poop out a key that he says that he ate. So he throws a box of bran flakes on there and says, "These are so powerful, Grandma had to eat these in the bathroom." Like, what? That's so nasty.
Well, that reminds me of the classic SNL skit, Colon Blow. That's pretty, that's pretty funny.
Definitely.
And then what was it? Extra strength colon blow was the other one, because there was another box. It was like, yeah, that was very funny. Colon blow.
Colon blow.
Finally, that trail leads back to Ed's bedroom. Eddie and Double D wake Ed, and their plan is to sleep over to make sure Ed doesn't continue to sleepwalk and eat. Great plan, guys. The way to think about it, I guess. Yeah. When they do wake up, Ed, he says, "I look like I've eaten everything in a 5-block radius." You have.
You did.
You did. But quickly thereafter, Ed is up again to go on his sleep-eating adventure. Double D and Ed do nothing to stop. Double D and Eddie do nothing to stop Ed.
No.
I mean, I don't think they could have.
I don't think so either.
So, I mean, more just making sure he doesn't hurt himself or something, I guess.
Right.
Instead. Ed ends up floating away with a pair of undies in his mouth, acting as a parachute, which, okay, great.
Sure.
It was funny.
Yeah, that's great.
I do like the aspect of this episode with him being like that classic Looney Tunes where you have the sleepwalking guy walking through a construction site or like a baby walking through. I love that about this episode because it's a direct homage to that, and it's a very well used trope in Looney Tunes. So
yeah, for sure,
it's appreciated by me for sure. Double D has a plan to lure Ed back using Ed's own stinky shoe.
Yeah,
I mean,
makes sense.
Makes sense. The familiar sense of one's personal belongings always makes one long for their natural environment. Thanks, Double D.
Thank you, Double D.
You must be a riot at parties.
I find that line funny because they do everything together.
Right,
so what do you mean?
right.
As if he's partying and you aren't there.
Right. That's exactly. That's Eddie acting older than his age, right?
Acting like he's the cool one of the three.
Yes. They do get Ed back to his house, but he's grown too large to make it through the window, which is hilarious.
Made it halfway.
He made it halfway,
He
right?
made it halfway.
Right. He made it halfway, and it was face first, right?
Yeah.
It was face first. That comes into play in just a second.
Yeah.
I don't think Ed's going anywhere. We got him right where we want him. Ed's smart.
Ed Smart.
Arguably one of the grossest things in any of these episodes.
One of the grossest things, and the best part is they are reusing the NOG drink sign they used for the lemonade, and they just nail a new sign that says Ed Smart right over it.
Genius. I never noticed that. That's awesome. Genius. I never noticed that. Time to sell all the food Ed has eaten back to the kids of the neighborhood. The food that's in Ed's stomach.
In his stomach.
The
Chunky Puffs?
It comes out coated in saliva.
Disgusting.
the gurgling and the bubbling.
Yeah. At least the box of Chunky Puffs is sealed still.
True.
Looks like it is. But it's still disgusting.
And even Double D retches pretty bad after that one when Eddie goes back for the milk.
Oh, yeah. Can't have Chunky Puffs without milk.
Next segment.
Next segment.
So segment 10B, Flea Bitten Ed, is a play on Flea Bitten Dog. So some of these play on word stuff aren't that witty.
No.
They're not. I mean, it's a play on something at least.
Right.
Though. This one opens up with Ed's Pet Boutique. Ed put the sign on upside down. So what does he do? Flips the garage.
Flips the garage, obviously.
I love Ed and his superhuman strength.
Yep.
Absolutely love it. Finally, we get to see Rolf again.
Some more Rolf, yep.
Finally,
That's
Rolf.
why this is part of like my favorite episode.
We want to clean your flea-infested animals, Rolf. You must be poking my eggplants. That would give me more time to watch the curd rise on the cheese of my grandfather's vats.
Yikes.
That's just the...
I had to rewind that and re-listen. What did he say?
That is just that's a string of words that you could never think of being put together in, in any way whatsoever.
No.
But he agrees to it. All right, Ed boys. I love that. I love that. That's what they. I love that. That's what he calls them. Ed boys.
Ed boys.
Too many that's in there. The Holy Chicken Shower by Ed had me rolling. Holy Chicken Shower.
Oh, yeah.
Had me rolling. And then Double D tells him to let the chickens bathe in privacy. You're embarrassing them.
Yeah. And then I thought for sure he was going to mess up the contraption, but he didn't.
He didn't. No, he didn't. He felt really embarrassed. He's like, oh, sorry, chicken. Oh, sorry chicken. And then Eddie waxing the pig.
Great.
The oinking sound effect. That's the that is hilarious. Absolutely love that.
Sounded like Beavis or
It kind of did, didn't it? Oh boy. So then we get Ed trying to get the giant dirt spots off the cow.
Yeah, that's a great one, obviously.
And then he asks Double D, where's the eyeliner? Why in the world would you need eyeliner? Okay, I think the cow is clean.
Yeah.
And then he asks, Eddie or Double D asks Ed to clean the bunnies. Turns out Ed is allergic to the bunnies.
Yeah.
Which is very funny.
Well, there's another classic Ed line. He says, clean the rabbits. Those aren't rabbits. Those are bunnies. I like that.
That's good. I am mutating. I am so itchy. That's pretty good. He is full on mutating at one point. His allergy to bunnies is pretty extreme, making those hands and feet grow. All that stuff. At this point, though, Ed has swollen up and is now floating away. We got to figure out. We got to figure out what's wrong with Bloat Boy.
Bloat Boy.
Sounds like what was it? Shoot, from Rocko's Modern Life. Bloaty and
Oh yeah, ringworm wait, what is it?
Bloaty, itchy and bloaty? Nope, that's itchy and scratchy.
Yeah,
bloaty and wormy. Bloaty and bloaty and bloaty and
littering.
Let me just take a look here. I gotta figure that one out. Bloaty
and then
squirmy
and ringworm, isn't it?
Squirmy the ringworm.
Squirmy the ringworm
and bloaty the tick. So we figured it out. I had to Google it. And it is Bloaty and Squirmy. Bloaty the tick and Squirmy the ringworm.
Yep.
I'm kind of sad that neither of us could pick that or could come up with that one, but that's okay.
Too much homework.
Never too much homework.
Never.
Trouble Deans. So, yes, they got to figure out what's wrong with Bloat Boy. Paging Dr. Double D to surgery. I enjoyed that Double D. Like, it's a moment of him being vain, like making Eddie do his whole title, which is very funny. Double D confirms the allergy to the bunnies. Cold cream to stop the itching? Nope. Talc? Nope. How about ice?
Yep.
Ding, 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 ding. I don't think that's how allergies work. But
no.
It's how they work in this episode.
It is how they work in this episode.
We need to protect you from those allergies, Ed. Jimmy cracked corn and I don't care. It's just such a weird line for him to say at that point. The Allergy Containment Center should take care of you, Ed. Bring them on, he says. I like that. But Eddie thinks that they've wasted too much time and he just wants to get the animals back to Rolf so they can collect their loot. We got a garage full of bunnies. Seems like Mr. and Mrs. Bunny have been practicing the multiplication table. That's a very interesting way to say that they've been having sex.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
I did appreciate that.
That's a very unique way of saying that. We get that wave of bunnies now sweeping across the neighborhood. Just hilarious. Love that.
Poor Johnny and Plank just playing in the alleyway.
Plank, I told you bunnies would take over the world, and they have. Lucky we've prepared for this day, huh, Plank? That is hilarious that they have prepared for that. Like, that is something that Johnny has come up with.
Of course.
Someday bunnies are going to take over the world, Plank. I'm telling you.
Talking to Plank about this so many times, I'm sure.
Kevin can't out-pedal the bunny tsunami.
Nope.
Sarah and Jimmy fall victim to the bunnies, too. Look, Sarah, a bunny. That must be Rolf's. Bunny attack! I liked when they're on the teeter-totter and there's one bunny, then like 5 bunnies, and then like 30 bunnies. I enjoyed that. That was pretty good. And then we end the episode with the Eds trying to watch TV. The camera pulls back and we see the Eds are on their roof. And the neighborhood is overrun with bunnies, while the other kids scream for help. Shut up, will ya?
Shut up.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
What did you think of episode 10? I know you said it was your favorite already, but
it's great. Obviously, you get a good amount of Rolf. We get no cankers.
No cankers. I appreciate that.
And probably just the most laughter for me in that.
Yeah.
I really like the Ed staying up all night and eating all the food, and the fact that Double D has a cactus that has a name on it. It's named Jim, and he takes a bite off of it. And then when they snap him out of it later, he says, Jim got a haircut. And, it's just a lot of good Ed in that.
Yeah, a lot of really good Ed in that one, especially. Those Ed-centric episodes are very good.
Definitely.
They're very good. I know they're all Ed-centric episodes, but single D Ed.
Single D Ed, 5'9", give or take.
Ah, boy. I liked that episode a lot, and I really felt like, for final opinions here, I really felt like the episodes from 7 to 10 really escalated in a cool way.
Oh, definitely.
They got better every episode. There wasn't an up and down in it. became more fun to watch them. The further you went along with it, they got better each episode.
Right.
So it was just an enjoyable watch to watch these episodes.
As much as I enjoyed 1 through 6,
Yes.
this was definitely a stronger watch.
Yes.
More laughter.
Do I remember correctly that like those first few episodes were created and then they were brought back to finish the season because it got picked up for more?
I'm not sure.
I feel like
that could make sense, though, because it seems like they know Danny Antonucci's got what he wants going right now.
Right. It really feels like they hit their stride in these episodes, in these 4 episodes. And on a personal note, I think taking a 4-episode bite out of this instead of doing the last
6.
Yeah, 7.
Or 7, it would have been.
I'm really glad because these episodes are very strong and fun to talk about.
And it'll make it more fun for people to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm excited now for a 3-episode banger to end that out in the future.
Yeah, and we'll probably come back with maybe some more facts about that since it'll be a shorter episode, or we'll come with something completely different to talk about from 1999 because
for sure
we enjoy that stuff, most definitely. So yeah, I guess with that done, we can transition over to our homework assignment, unless there's anything else that you want to talk about before we move on to it.
I think it's homework assignment time.
So this one is a listener suggestion. That's right. If you email us and you give us a suggestion, your suggestion will hop the line. You will go right to the front of the line.
Right to the front.
Right to the front. So email us.
Overdue Homework Podcast at gmail.com.
Thank you. So, thanks, Jake, a lot for this suggestion. It's Mars Attacks. Don't forget the italicized exclamation point because it's in everything. Release date was December 13th, 1996 in the United States, which happens to be a Friday the 13th.
Nice.
Very Tim Burton-y.
Very Tim Burton.
And at a budget of $70 million, a box office of $101.4 million. That is $192.4 million in today's money. Thank you, U.S. inflation calculator.
Yep.
Not a great take.
I'm surprised it had a $70 million budget.
That's a big budget. That's a big budget for 1996. That was before the proliferation of $100 million movies. And now it's proliferation of $200 million plus movies.
Right.
To that worldwide market. You can make billions now in China alone. So,
Yeah.
I mean, big budgets are there now. Directed by Tim Burton. So we said Tim and Jim break.
Tim and Jim break.
So what suggestion?
Yeah.
So
This one, just blame Jake.
just blame Jake.
Just blame Jake.
Just blame Jake. We're more than happy to do it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yes. Directed by Tim Burton, written by Jonathan Gems. Might be Gems. Probably Gems. Based on Mars Attacks by Topps, which were trading cards in 1962.
Okay, that's super cool. I didn't know that.
That's some unique source material for something like this. The cards were banned, actually, because they depicted like serious sexual and very gory situations.
Oh, okay.
Some of them had to be redrawn because they were too gory on their first release. And then even the redraw got the ire of people in power, and they were discontinued and taken off the shelf.
Man, so those are probably pretty valuable cards.
That's a true collector right there. Produced by Tim Burton and Larry J. Franco. Music by Danny Elfman.
There he is.
Gotta love Danny Elfman. And then, are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you ready for this? I'm gonna take it down to Michael J. Fox, and then you're gonna take it from there. All right. Starring Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Pam Grier, Annette Bening, Pierce Brosnan, Danny DeVito, Martin Short, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox.
Rod Steiger, Tom Jones, Lucas Haas, Natalie Portman, Jim Brown, Lisa Marie, Sylvia Sidney, and Jack Black.
That's quite the cast.
Holy crap.
It's
It's been so long since I've seen this that I did not remember it was that star-studded.
No. So this movie right now is free on Pluto TV. So as of now, when you're listening to it now, it is free. But
right.
Give it a year, it's not going to be free on Pluto probably anymore.
Yeah.
So free on Pluto TV right now. It looks like it's $3.99 to rent everywhere else. I'm probably going to buy it on a disc because I want to add it to my collection because I'm a Tim Burton fan.
For sure.
So hopefully you already have this in your collection or you are willing to sit through some commercials on Pluto TV for free.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm excited for that one, Trav.
Definitely. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Jake. Please hit me with them emails.
It's email time. First one comes from having an old friend for dinner. Says, I loved Silence of the Lambs episode. I'm curious to know if you guys have seen the next two movies, aka Hannibal and Red Dragon, and what you guys thought.
So, yes, I have seen those two. Red Dragon was the third one, correct?
The third one, yep.
And that's the one with Ray Liotta?
Yeah, nope, he's in Hannibal.
Okay, he's in Hannibal.
He gets his head.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that scene stuck with me.
Yes, obviously.
Red Dragon is an interesting, because it goes back, correct?
Like it's someone who is mimicking
Okay,
him.
okay. I've only seen it one time, and it was around the time that it had been released. So I have seen it. Hannibal, I've seen twice, maybe.
Sure.
That's probably be the most I've seen that one. But I remember liking them both. Specifics, I'm a little bit loose on the ideas of the specifics. Have you seen the one before that, the one with the dude from Super Troopers as Hannibal?
No.
I haven't either. So that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But how about you? How about you with those?
Yeah, I like them. I mean, they're no Silence of the Lambs, obviously.
No.
But Hannibal's better because it's more Anthony Hopkins focused. But yeah, I think that Ray Liotta brain-eating scene is why Jodie Foster did not want to be in the second one.
I think you're right.
And, man, that dude who he got to cut his face off just sticks with me as horrifying, and I hate that.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're both good. I think Red Dragon's a little less horrifying. It's more back to more suspense, kind of.
Yes.
But yeah, they're good, for sure. They won't be homework
content
because
they were the
they're
2000s.
after 2000, I believe.
I think you're right.
For sure, Red Dragon.
Yes.
So if Hannibal's not, correct us and email us back.
I think Hannibal was like 02. That's what
I think so, too. Yeah. Next email here comes from Not Your Average NPC. Wants to know, when you make a video game character in any game, do you A, keep the default name, B, use your own name, C, make up a new name every time, or D, do you have some sort of go-to name that you go to when you create a character?
So it's kind of a combo of using my own. I don't keep the default name. I try to make the character look. You didn't really ask this, but I try to make the character look like me to an extent.
Sure.
But like try to make myself look better.
Yeah.
Than how I look.
Yes.
To just live that fantasy a little bit.
For sure.
I don't ever use like Drew. I don't use Drew ever for a name unless it's like a dumb game that I don't care about and may never go back to playing again. I might just go find Drew, whatever. But usually I do some sort of variation on Drew, like Drew Thomas Samos, like something weird,
Sure.
Or I do Taco.
Taco.
Tahko.
Nice.
Hey,
that's awesome. That's perfect.
How about you?
I usually use my own name.
Do you?
I usually do Trav. I don't ever do default.
No.
Always change it if you can. But yeah, usually Trav, or if it's like Diablo and I've had to make a bajillion characters, then it gets hard. Then you're just making up crap at some point. But.
In the early 2000s, I went through a phase of using Hamburger as the name for everything. Where it was, and I would spell hamburger with like all the weird characters and stuff like that, like everybody does. And it was all because of Mario Kart on the Wii, where I made a me that had a hamburger head.
Nice.
So then I would be Hamburger.
Nice.
And it was always fun when I'd play with my friends, and I would always do pretty well with my friends, finishing in the top 3 most of the time. And it was always fun to hear them be like, "It Hamburger!"
Hamburger. That hamburger.
That was worth it right there.
I hate that clown. Next email here comes from Ed. Wants to know, with my love for buttered toast, I'm curious if you guys were buttered toast kids.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've talked about this before. I'm actually a cheese whiz on my toast and bagels and English muffins guy. But yes, buttered toast. I'm down with buttered toast anytime.
For sure.
Down with buttered toast anytime.
Love me some buttered toast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Lauren does the cinnamon sugar buttered toast.
I haven't done that in years.
Yeah, that's her go-to.
I should do that.
Yeah, either grape jelly or buttered toast.
Cheese whiz or butter.
Yeah. So I can definitely relate to Ed with that. Last email comes here from DC Fan 48. Wants to know, did you like Jawbreakers as a kid?
Sort of. They were okay.
They were.
I would really get bored with them and start trying to chew on them way too early.
Way too early.
And if I was able to make it through it, then I would chew it all up. But otherwise, I would spit them out a lot of times.
I'd also say I had zero interest until Edd and Eddy in Jawbreakers. Honestly, that piqued my interest. And one funny thing I forgot to mention that I love in the episode is that When Jimmy puts in a jawbreaker, I love that his braces expand to the size of the jawbreaker in his mouth.
Speaking of his braces, in the fat episode, when he's on the stilts and the stilts get caught in his braces. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Horrible. Horrible, but hilarious.
Very horrible.
That wraps up emails, so thank you for listening. Thank you for emailing Jake, and thank you anyone who's emailed us. And please, if you haven't, or even if you have, email us again at overduehomeworkpodcast@gmail.com. Whether you want it to be a question we read on here or a topic suggestion. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Overdue Homework or Instagram/Facebook at Overdue Homework Podcast. And as always, don't forget to tune in to the next exciting episode of the Overdue Homework Podcast.